So Hufflepuff is where we start, and Sar Systems is where we start. So the very first house is called Meripelle. The literal translation is Linnu. When you put them together, Meripelle, it translates to sea clown. So which seabird is called the sea clown? Or let me give you another clue. Which bird is called the sea parrot? And if you haven't guessed it still, this is the Atlantic puffin. It is the provincial bird of Newfoundland and Labrador, and this was a provincial bird marked in 1991-1992. You see the link with Harry Potter right when they started their school. This bird comes as the provincial bird of Newfoundland and Labrador. So the Hufflepuff house, which is all about Sar Systems, will no longer be called Hufflepuff. It's called Meripelle. Now, why is the Atlantic puffin the house guardian, or the house name in this case? Because the house gets its name from the guardian. It's the guardian because Hufflepuff obviously is, they're gregarious. The attributes are loyalty, steadfastness. All of those qualities fall within the puffin because they mate for life, they're loyal, they are very protective, they're gregarious by nature, they're hardworking because now here's the hardworking part. So the flapping is about 300 to 400 times per minute just to stay airborne. So that's a lot of hard work. So that shows a true Hufflepuff in nature. Also, it's a puffin. Although I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic puffin, the fact that it's from Newfoundland and Labrador was enough for me to make it like the guardian. When I looked at the beasts, it doesn't fit in any of the other houses. It has the puff word in it, and it's got Newfoundland and Labrador. Why is that relevant to me? Because the house beast, that is the house mascot, is a dog. And Newfoundland has two beautiful dogs. One is obviously the Labrador Retriever, but it has an even better dog, which is almost like a bear, called the Newfoundland dog. I absolutely love the Newfoundland dog. So I was like, okay, I don't mind the Atlantic puffin because the Newfoundland dog is there. We have the house name, which is Meripelle. We have the house beast, or the house mascot, which is a dog. This is a house that needs a leader. I picked up a Hufflepuff named Dora Tonks. She doesn't like people using her first name. I still went ahead and used her pet name. Yeah, she exemplifies all the characteristics of that Hufflepuff house. And since this is linked to the Ministry of Magic, where Newt Scamander did work, and she was an Auror. Moving on, let's see the color. It's an earthy house, so the color is brown, and I didn't want it to be completely brown because both my dogs obviously are brown, but Fraser is brown and white, and Fraser has got a brown orangish tinge. Over the years, he changed from, like, his brown and orangey tinge had multiple shades. So ochre is where he kind of fit in. Ochre, bronze, tree sap shades. If you think of all these shades like raw sienna, they all have that tinge, and I couldn't pick one, so I gave him an orangey brown color, and so that's why the house color is ruskea, which is brown. Think of the house color as ochre, but ochre is called ochra in Finnish, and that's like ladyfinger. And I was like, I don't want to have that as the color. Like, I don't want ochre, like okra, which is a Finnish word for it. And everything has to have a Finnish name because this whole scene is set up in Sodankylä in Finland. And I was like, let's not go with that. So ruskea again couldn't just be ruskea, which is brown. And that's why this house color is puna ruskea, which is reddish brown, not reddish, red brown. And every house needs to have a house song. And that will, again, since it's Finland, it has its house song. And the house song is by Olli Halonen, and since this is my favorite house, it will have my favorite song Pohjola. And finally, it is a house, it needs to have its house key, so the way to enter the house is through the words muggle-worthy. That's a complete rip-off from what the headmaster said, but obviously this is Hufflepuff, this is the favorite house. I used the headmaster's very first lines when he said when he reached the US, and that's muggle-worthy. We have a new house for Sar Systems. Let's say I talk about Umbra, which is interesting because the color umber, which is also similar to ochre, raw sienna, like the earthy colors, these three form those earthy colors. One shade of umber was falling within the same orange brown tinge, and Umbra is a Sar satellite company. So umber comes from, I think, Umbra, shadow, and I was like, oh, this fits perfectly. I find this interesting because initially when I started this project, it was a very serious project last year, and I wanted to be very focused on SAR applications and only outcomes. And then Fraser passed away, and my whole self-deception of 27 years just got pulled out. It was like an invisibility cloak that I had on for 27 years, and Fraser's passing, me seeing death that close. I've seen death many times when I was young, but when you lose someone you love a lot, that death has a totally different meaning. My self-deception and the invisibility cloak just fell off. And that whole self-deception of the Yukon for 27 years just vanished. When I started this fun project, all the links started to get connected. Like, I was just looking at my dog's color and I'm like, oh, both of them are brown, so Ruskea should be the house. But then I was like, oh, I didn't account for Fraser's orangey brown tinge in between. White will be accounted for in another house, but how do I account for his... Like, Denver is a proper brindle brown, but Fraser is an irregular orangey brown. And I was like, okay, so red, brown and ochre came in. And then when I started researching shades of ochre, which color fits in, raw sienna was also pretty close. And then finally umber orange also is pretty close. Etymologically comes to be umbra, which is shadow. And I was like, oh, SAR systems, this is perfect. I have a company that can fit into this mold. Let's wrap up this house. The very first house, the SAR systems, fall under the house Meripelle. Their house mascot is a dog. Their house leader is Dora Tonks. The house color is Puna Ruskea. And then the house song is by Olli Halonen called Pohjola. And then the house key is muggle-worthy.